Hi, I'm Sridhar Nishtala, a first year PGPM student at IIM Trichy. And as part of my video submission for IEP, I would be talking about disinvestment undertaken by the Government of India in PSUs. So, what is disinvestment? Disinvestment is a strategic decision taken by the Government of India to raise funds by selling stake or parts of the business of PSUs. The objectives of disinvestment are to meet budgetary needs in every fiscal year. It is also to make sure that there is an increased competition and also a better utilization of resources in the PSUs by bringing in private management. This also helps to let the government transfer any kind of commercial risk undertaken by it incidental to the business being carried out by the PSUs. Disinvestment can be done in three forms. One is minority disinvestment. That is wherein the government continues to retain a 51% plus ownership of the PSU. Then there is majority disinvestment, wherein the holding of equity in the PSU of the government goes down below 51% threshold. And then there is complete disinvestment. In complete disinvestment, the government sells its entire stake in the PSU. India has had a socialist past. Since the 1950s, India has had multiple public sector undertakings wherein which the majority stakeholding has been 100% or up to 100%. Now, in the 1970s, there was a wave of nationalization undertaken by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi ji. And post that, in the 1980s, we have had a situation wherein which we had a balance of payment crisis. Now, when Prime Minister Narasimha Rao came to power in 1991, they had adopted the LPG model, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. In this model, the objective was to disinvest from public sector undertaking units, and which meant that every year a budgetary income would be achieved via selling stake in the different public sector undertakings in the government. Disinvestment was taken up as a major initiative by the NDA government led by Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In that NDA term, there was a disinvestment which had taken place in an unprecedented level than ever before. However, there has been one problem that has been identified during that tenure. That is that there has been selling of public sector undertakings at very, very cheap prices. For instance, Hindustan Zinc, 45% of stake in Hindustan Zinc was sold for 769 crores in 2003-4. And as of last year, the value of Hindustan Zinc as acquired by Sterlite in 2003 is around 28,000 crores. This same money could have been captured by the government if it was sold at a higher price. But the exchequer had a loss with respect to that. In the recent past, in 2019, IRCTC shares were listed in the stock exchange. The listing price was 320 rupees. The date of listing, the stock price went up to 640 bucks. That means there was nearly around 100% gain just on the day of listing. This again was an opportunity lost. The government must, in the future, considering that there have been statements being made by the Chief Economic Advisor, Subramanian, who said that they will be gaining nearly around 80,000 crore rupees by selling stakes in BPCL and raising around 1 lakh crores by an IPO in LIC, would have to get the pricing right. Now, in terms of solutions that are there for disinvestment in the future, one is that the government must maintain a minority stakeholding in the PSUs and not go for a complete sellout of stock. Be a dormant shareholder and do not interfere in the management of the organization. Enjoy the benefits being an investor. And the third, the IPOs that are going to be scheduled in the upcoming years, they must be priced aggressively. That is, considering that in the last few years, the subscription for any of the IPOs, even for private companies, has been going at a high rate. If the price of the shares is aggressively done, there is a more chance of capturing value from the IPO market. So to conclude, the scope of making money out of privatizing PSUs is immense, considering that there are multiple organizations that can undergo privatization, such as banks, as well as a scope of opening up in different sectors which are not strategic in nature. The government must go about in disinvestment in a very, very strategic manner, get the timing of the disinvestment right, and get the correct price for the assets, because these are capital incomes, and capital incomes are such that once these assets are sold, it takes a lot of effort to generate such an asset again.